How's it going, everybody? I'm Steve Ninja, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to rank the studio albums from one of the early metal bands, Judas Priest. And like I said, I'm not going to do any live albums at all. As far as in the comments, you can give me your top 5 or top 10, 15, 18. You can include live albums if you want to. For me, as far as live albums, I only have 2 of them. I think it's the first 2 they ever released. One is Unleashed in the East, which I consider to be like the 3rd best live album of all time. And the other one is Priest Live, which covers like the Turbo era and a lot of the 80s stuff, But I think both of these are pretty good, but I'm not going to include them in my ranking. At number 18, I have Demolition from 2001. This was the last Tim Ripper Owens album. And as far as this, it has the songs Machine Man, Hell is Home, Bloodsuckers. This album, as far as the sound of it, I thought Judas Priest really changed their sound. KK Downing and Glenn Tipton didn't even sound like themselves. It sounded like they were really trying to kind of adopt the sound at the time, like industrial. But as far as this, I think as far as these 2 albums from Ripper Owens, I think that they kind of have their own thing here, and I really couldn't rank either one of these higher than any Rob Halford albums, because to me it doesn't really sound like Judas Priest. But I was really surprised based on what I had heard about these albums. I really thought they would be a lot worse. And I thought maybe somebody in my age group, I'm 49, so I kind of grew up with that kind of music, like nu metal and industrial, stuff like that, even though I'm not a big fan of nu metal. I did like industrial music to some extent, but I didn't really think these were that bad overall. But I'm really glad that the fans really kind of protested these albums for the most part, because I'm glad that Rob Halford came back. At number 17, I have Jugulator from 1997. This is the first one from Tim Ripper Owens. It has like songs like Burn in Hell, Bullet Train, Cathedral Spires is really great. Has Bloodstained. As far as this, I thought there were moments when Ripper Owens kind of sounded like John Bush in the Anthrax era. They were his voice kind of sounds a little bit similar. I don't know if anybody else kind of thinks that or not, but that's what I kind of thought. But as far as the production of this, I thought there were moments where the production sounded really way too low, and sometimes the volume kind of sounded normal. So I don't know if anybody else had a poor production on their CD or at all, but as far as this, I thought Demolition sounded better than this one. At number 16, I have Nostradamus from 2008. This album's, I thought, way too long. With 2 CDs, I thought if they could have made this like 1 CD for like 75 minutes. If you're not a fan of symphonic metal, this is probably not for you. I was really disappointed with the title track. I thought that was going to be a really great song. It ended up being one of the more disappointing songs on the album, because I had seen the Essential Judas Priest, where the song Nostradamus was on there. So I was expecting it to be like the best song on the album, and I was kind of disappointed. That's like the second to last song on the disc 2. But I did like the song Prophecy. But as far as this, I didn't think it was terrible. It was hard to. I listened to disc 1, then I listened to disc 2, and then I went back to listen to disc 1. And then listen to disc 2 after that. But these, I usually, a lot of these I try to do at least 2 listens. Some of them I listened to 2 or 3 times. A lot of the earlier ones I had heard, tons of times. I'll talk about those later. But as far as the 80s albums, I had heard those multiple times. But as far as these newer ones, I wanted to listen to each album at least twice. At number 15, I have Rock'n'Rolla from 1974. This is their debut album. I was surprised I liked this quite a bit more than I thought I would. It has a, run-of-the-mill, Never Satisfied, One for the Road. I was really surprised that as far as the recording, I thought it was pretty solid. It's not extremely heavy. A lot of these 70s albums really aren't as heavy as the 80s. But, I liked it quite a bit more than I thought I would. I love that I got the album cover with the bottle cap there. And number 14, I have Point of Entry from 1981. You see, I didn't get the album cover, the cover with the I guess the back of the airplane. I think it's what that is. I got the other one, but as far as this, this album's not extremely great, but it has a Headed Out for the Highway, Desert Plains, Hot Rockin's not a bad song. As far as this, I didn't love this album, but it's in that period where Judas Priest were they had like 2 great albums, before and after this. But at number 13, I have Ram It Down from 1988. As far as this, I thought the production on this was really poor. I was surprised that being that the remasters that didn't sound as good as the other Judas Priest remasters. I was surprised that I had to turn the volume up quite a bit more. But I love the title track. Obviously, Ram It Down's a great song. I love heavy metal. It's not bad. The song Blood Red Sky is really great. The song Monsters of Rock, not bad. But I really hated that they put Johnny B. Good on this. It's from a movie soundtrack. It's a terrible cover. I wish they hadn't done that. I think it's because of they passed on the Top Gun soundtrack that they felt like they needed to get on a soundtrack, and for whatever reason they wanted to have some kind of a commercial song. At number 12, I have Redeemer of Souls from 2014. Overall, I thought this album had a pretty solid sound. It doesn't have a ton of standout tracks on it, but I did like Walls of Valhalla, Battle Cry, Down in Flames. Just overall, I think this was a comeback after Nostradamus. And I was surprised how much I like this. I've heard some people kind of say they didn't like this album, but overall, I like the solid production on it, and I like the sound on it. At number 11, I have Turbo from 1986. This was actually the first Judas Priest album I ever bought. So overall, I don't have that kind of nostalgia where I'm going to rank it really, really high. But I don't hate this album though. Locked In, Out in the Cold's a really great song. Turbo Lover, love that guitar solo in this song. Private Property, Parental Guidance. Overall, it has a real commercial kind of pop sound to it, but I don't hate it though. At number 10, I have Angel of Retribution from 2005. This one I actually really, really like. This is a big comeback album with Rob Halford returning. It has a Judas Rising, great song, Revolution, Demonizer, Hellrider, Deal with the Devil. This is the one that actually comes with the DVD. So overall, I love the packaging on this. I don't know if everybody has this packaging or not, but I really like this. I really like the way it sounds, and it's a big comeback with Rob Halford. At number 9, some people might think this is ranked a little bit low, but I have Sin After Sin from 1977. I really like the sound of this. It's only 8 tracks. It has the great cover Diamonds and Rust, which is much better than the other cover that they did later on. But Sinner, Dissident Aggressor, which Slayer did a cover of that song. Starbreaker, great song, but overall, I really like the way this sounds, and you can kind of tell they were getting a little bit heavier, and the next album got a lot heavier, and the album after that was even better, so they just kept improving after this album. At number 8, I have Firepower from 2018. This has a really great sound, really solid throughout. It has a Lightning Strike, Firepower, Never the Heroes. Overall, it's 14 tracks. It might be slightly too long, but I love the way it sounds. I really need to listen to this album again, really kind of dial in on more songs that I really like on it. But just overall, it's really solid, solid throughout, and really loved it. At number 7, I have Sad Wings of Destiny from 1976. Really love this. And as far as like I mentioned, I really love their live album, Unleashed in the East. Well, a lot of songs from that are on this. Has a Victim of Changes, really great song. The Ripper, Tyrant, Dreamer, Deceiver, Genocide, Deceiver. Love this. I actually like this, and like I said, I have it ranked higher than the third album. Even though this is their second album, for some reason I think the songs sound better than the Sin After Sin. Number 6, I'm sure a lot of people have this ranked a lot higher than I do, but I have Screaming for Vengeance from 1982. I love this album, the Hellion, Electric Eye. I'm sure a lot of people are sick of You Got Another Thing Coming, but I still love that song. Devil's Child, the title track, Riding on the Wind. As far as this, this album, it's one of the earliest albums I bought from Judas Priest, and obviously that big song off of this is what really sold the album. So for some people, I'm sure this has kind of dropped a little bit in the ranking, and some people probably have this at number 1, number 2, but still a great album. At number 5, I have Painkiller from 1990. Like you said, a lot of people needed a big comeback after Ram It Down, and I think this album really delivered that. The title track is just a blistering kind of song. Painkiller, Hell Patrol, Nightcrawler, A Touch of Evil. I think it's probably one of the best Judas Priest songs ever. So this album, some people may have this a little bit higher than me. Some people may not have it quite as high, depending on if you really like the 70s stuff. At number 4, I'm sure some people would have this ranked a little bit higher, but it's a Stained Class from 1978. It has the songs Exciter, Beyond the Realms of Death, Better by You, Better Than Me, Saints in Hell, Invader. Really great songs on this. The more I listen to this, I think it kind of goes up in my ranking a little bit more. But like I said, some people love the 70s albums would rank this at number 1. At number 3, I have Killing Machine, also known as Hellbent for Leather in the U.S. from 1978. Obviously, Running Wild, the song Hellbent for Leather, Delivering the Goods, one of the really great ones. Take on the World, Evening Star, So I love the production on this. This is the first '70s album I ever bought. I had all the '80s albums, but I went back and bought this one, and so it wasn't until recently that I discovered like all the other '70s albums. So number two, I have British Steel from 1980. Really love this one. Love the album cover. It's Breaking the Law, Rapid Fire, Metal Gods, Living After Midnight, The Rage, Steeler. You could say United. It's not a bad song. Grinder, not a bad song. But love the production on this too. It's just like the one from 1978. The two albums from '78. The production had gotten really great on these. Number one, I had Defenders of the Faith from 1984. I love every song on this album. It's Free Will Burning, Jawbreaker. The Sentinel, Love Bites, Eat Me Alive. Love that song. Some Heads Are Gonna Roll. I'm not going to mention every song, but like I said, every one's really great. So, and some people don't like the drums on this, necessarily, but to me, I love the album cover, and to me, this is Judas Priest for me. But I'm sure people that love like the '70s albums probably hate a lot of stuff in the '80s. It sounded way too commercial to them, but I really love it. Please put a like on the video, and please consider subscribing. Like I said, my ranking is not necessarily the way it should be. Let me know in the comments how it should be ranked. Like I said, it all depends if you're somebody that grew up in the '70s, maybe you like those albums more than anything else. If you grew up later on, maybe you like the 2000s or '90s albums more than anything else. Or if you're like me, you love like the '80s albums the most. So it's really no wrong answers, but I really love how people have checked out my videos and put likes on everything and commented on videos. It's been really great, and it's really helped my channel grow. So thanks, everybody, and have a good night. Bye.